We're still talking mining, the state of the mining sector here in Sandton, just north of Johannesburg, and we're busy exploring some of the issues. The mining minister has got quite a lot on his plate today, retrenchments and downsizing, shafts being closed down, and wage negotiations in the gold mining sector that seem to be on a collision course at the moment. And we're just wondering, perhaps, what's the way forward? Just before the break, we were asked a question about what do we do with mining houses that are not complying with some of the items in the mining sector, in mining charter, and some of the conditions of their mining licenses. Well, let's go to somebody who does know something about the running of mining houses. He's a CFO at Oak Bay Resources. Trevor Scott is on table number 3. Trevor, there is this threat of licenses being taken away. It seems as if the mining houses just aren't coming to the party. Is it that they don't want to? Are there challenges that they're facing to try and comply? What's going on from the business side?
Peter, every mining company that's awarded a mining right has to comply with the social and labour obligations as well as environmental remediation obligations. It's a contract between that company and the state. It's a condition of the mining rights. In my view, they have to comply. I think most mining companies take it very seriously. In my view, the Department of Mineral Resources has a fairly strong approach to it. I think mining companies know the consequences of not complying with it. And I think it's a fair comment that if a mining company doesn't comply, it should face the consequences. I think the question is at what point or how does it actually take place? I think there needs to be a strong dialogue between the state, between the department and government, and business, to address issues of non-compliance, give those companies a chance to remediate.
Is there a challenge in complying? Because sometimes it's difficult to implement, or is it just that in general, not enough is being done quickly enough?
Peter, I would say it's the latter. At the end of the day, if a company submits a social and labour plan, when it submits it and it signs it off, it implies that it has the ability to fulfil that obligation. I think there's possibly a large expectation gap. But in my view, companies should comply with their social and labour plans.
All right, okay. Trevor, thank you very much indeed. Okay, so let me start with the markets. Nationalising, taking away licences, what will happen?
I think that there's two aspects to look at it. The first one is we now know that there is definitely a disconnect between labour, government and business. That is clear from the conversations we had today. Whether you do nationalisation or you do any other concept that you're going to change from here going forward, it's still going to be a challenge because now you have to sit with a transformation plan. And if that does happen, how long will it take for the market to actually respond positively to it? So we have to deal with things as they are, Peter, at the moment. That's what needs to happen. So what is the problem right now? We're losing jobs fast and furiously. So how do we make sure that these mining businesses contribute quite aggressively towards stabilizing the labor market? And I'm not making any suggestions. I'm just saying this is from an analyst's perspective. I'm saying if they invest now in the short term in making sure that they stabilize labor, invest also in upskilling these members that they say they're not actually up to scratch, and make sure that these guys in the next 5 years will be better suited, will be living much better lives, and they'll be looked after much better. Then in that way, then you've stabilized the business for the next 5 years. You've got reserves. We know that you do. We know that there's access to investments that you can do. They've got mechanisms of creating capital to make sure that that can be sustained. What they're doing now is that we seem to be concentrating on what the now effect of that is, and not necessarily what will this happen, what will this do in the next 5 years. The last thing I just want to include there in terms of compliance is the fact that when you keep missing your targets in terms of those contracts that you have built, and you said, I want a mining license because I'm going to do transformation, I'm going to create and build jobs, and then you turn around and when your profits are not doing well, but you've taken a license, it means that you are taking responsibility that comes with that license. and that means jobs, and that means you making sure...
But can government honestly afford to take away the licenses?
I don't think government can afford to do so, but I do think that they can do things to make sure that there's more accountability when it comes to the business.
What can they do?
Well, one of the things is that you'll find this very strange, but it's practiced in other countries. About foreign investment, for example, what money is allowed to go out, the taxes, the implications of taxes for those mining companies to take money out of the country. So those reserves need to be utilized now in reinvesting in your business. That's what any business would do. When you've got a problem, if you've got a crisis, you go back to your reserves, you put that money back into the business so that you sustain yourself for a short period of time because you know you've got a long-term goal. If you don't have a long-term goal, then the only way, of course, is to just cut jobs.
Deputy President, what are the mining houses telling you about this delay in complying with some of these social charter issues?
Well, they got no clear reasons. We have a proposal as NUM about the compliance that we need a structure that include government, the union, and the mining company, a kind of a tribunal structure that will take accountability of implementing this. And that must be inserted in the mining charter. Because if it is led to be the responsibility of mining houses, monitoring systems is very poor. It is only checked maybe after 5 years, you see. So if we have a structure that is monitoring this and it includes all partners, it will make sure that
but why is it so difficult? We don't have that many mines in the country.
We don't have
that many mines. Why is it so difficult to monitor?
Well, it is because the responsibility of implementation lies on the management and Department of Labor. The union is always urging mines to implement, but we don't have a structure that is responsible according to law.
So they're not giving you real reasons why they're delaying?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Nitin Singh, table number 4.
But I wanted to talk to the issue of nationalization.
Okay. Yes. You can mention that straight away?
Yeah. I think we need a new model of economic structure in this country, whereby the government should actually come to the party as part of a business partner to the mining industry. Not nationalization as such, but the government playing a part in business like in Botswana, like in other countries, where you have partnership, that the government will invest in mining. I mean, right now, there are state-owned mining companies from China that are operating in Matlosan, which are making resource for the people of China. So it is about time that the government must come to the party. And as they invest in the mining industry, at the same time, the issue of manufacturing should be looked into so that these natural resources must not be exported to Europe, all of them. They should actually go to manufacturing right here.
But Minister Nhlanhla will tell you we don't have money to invest. So it's a challenge. Nitin?
My question is purely from the business perspective. In the current situation when the commodities are trading all-time low, what we can expect from the government for the business units? Are we expecting some tax benefits or flexibility in paying taxes? That's my question.
All right, so that would be government to answer that. They can't. I don't know. What have you seen in other parts of the world in a situation like this?
The most important thing is to realize that this global impact is not because I hear a lot of people say China has slowed down. China hasn't slowed down. All that's happened is it's a soft landing, and it was planned. It was pre-planned before. And then obviously, when you expose yourself to their market and you say, this is the commodity business or country that we're going to be dealing with, it becomes very difficult when there's a slight lack of demand, and therefore that's why you see these prices falling as much as they do. But here's the thing. When I don't know if I got your question correctly, you're talking about the turn of the commodity prices going down. Is that what you're referring to? So we've seen this before. It's not the first time. These are cyclical. And, you know, if you're a long-term investor, you will know for a fact that in every cyclical period, you can even do research. We did research as far back as 120 years ago. There will be a turning point where that price hits bottom and it will curve again. It will come back. It will bounce back. The issue is, how do you plan for the times when you are at the bottom? And when you have planned properly, and mining businesses will know, if you've planned properly, you will put reserves in place for commodity prices when they fall, just like we've got with OPEC, with the oil prices going down. They know they've got reserves. They're going to wait until actually those prices bounce back, and then they can reinvest that money again, and then demand comes back again. The question is, what are the mining companies' plan when we have volatility? Is it just to cut jobs? Is it to say, no, we can't do anything else, we have to look at the wages? It is a wrong strategy, and it's been adapted since 1994. It hasn't changed. So every time there's something that goes wrong, then it's the easiest way to come out of it is to cut jobs.
All right, okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I actually want to talk to somebody who's an investor, who's got shares in a mining company, and get his perspective on the state of the mining sector. All of that coming up after this.